sooner and sooner, or so we say. You know how the time is. It's getting closer to that time when we have darkness, when we need the darkness. And I will welcome you by saying that the rabbi this week is having a lovely day off tonight, specifically because it happens to be Ayelet's birthday. So I thought, you know what, he needs a day off. And so I am happy to say that Lisa Lisser will be joining me this evening on services. And she's just a great partner to work with. And we say Shabbat Shalom to all that are here tonight. We also have a new tech man. If you see a Temple Ner Tamid person that's up in the top with headphones or in the picture,
Emily would die.
Happens to be a pressman. So I'm happy to say that my son Randy is our tech person, and Shabbat Shalom to all. We'll begin this evening with a nigun, one of those songs without words that if you've heard it before, you've heard it once, you've heard it twice, you've heard it a few times, and it goes like this. Yai dai dai yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai dai yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 ya da dai yai dai dai yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai dai yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 ya da dai. Welcome to those people that have joined us. Since I already said Shabbat Shalom once to you, before we even light candles, I'm going to offer an opportunity that you indeed will be able to hopefully respond. And it goes along with our whole premise of it's Shabbat. And what do we do when we say we want to welcome Shabbat? We indeed say Shabbat Shalom, but it's more than just the saying. It's something that you need to do. And I will share my screen with you, and you will be able to see exactly what we're looking at. To all that is chaotic in you, let there come silence. Let there be a stilling of the voices that have laid their claim on you, that go with you even to the holy places, but will not let you rest. Let what distracts you cease. Let there be an opening into the quiet that lies beneath the chaos, where you find the peace you did not think possible. The question that I posed to you even before we light the candles, and an opportunity to add some voice to our chat. How do you make Shabbat be that place where you turn that chaos into peace? And so as you're adding some into the chat, I'm going to go back to that nigun again to give you a time to really reflect and let us know, how do you make Shabbat be that place where you turn that chaos into peace? Yai dai dai yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 ya da dai. We continue our service. If you have the Siddur, which has been notated in our chat, once again, we are beginning on page 2 as we do candle blessings, and it is my honor to call up the Samuel family who will be lighting candles for us.
Shabbat Shalom. Okay.
Shalom. Go ahead, do your lighting.
Light it first. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to the Samuel family. Oliver is one of two becoming B'nai Mitzvah tomorrow. He's the Bar Mitzvah, and the next group I call up happens to be the Kaplan family, and they will continue on page 5 in our Siddur. This is Lola. She's becoming Bat Mitzvah tomorrow.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitchanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hini lanu zikaron lema'aseh b'reishit ki hu yom tehillah lemikra yakodesh secher litziat mitzrayim kivanu bacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodecha v'ahava uvratzon hinhilanu Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh hashabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. I think you guys need to go in out of the rain. Shabbat Shalom. We continue our service on page 20 with Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Yalala, Yalala, Yalalai, B'nai Shabbat, Nikabela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Yalala, Yalala, Yalalai, B'nai Shabbat, Nikabela. Shamor v'zohor b'dibor echad, Hishme'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shemul tiferet v'lichila, Lecha dodi likrat kala, Yalalai, 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 B'nai Shabbat, Nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Yalalai, 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 B'nai Shabbat, Nikabela. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'necha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chila, lecha dodi Likrat kala, Yalala, Yalala, Yalalai, B'nai Shabbat, Nikabela, Yailai, Lecha dodi, Likrat kala, Yalala, Yalala, Yalalai, B'nai Shabbat, Nikabela. Paragraph 5. Hitoreri, Kiva orekumi uri, shidaberi, kivod Adonai, alayik nikla, lecha dodi likrat kala, Yalalai, 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 B'nai Shabbat, Nikabelai, Aidai, lecha dodi likrat kala, Yalalai, 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 B'nai Shabbat, Nikabela. We rise as we join together in verse 9. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha uvetzola, toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, Yalalai, 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 B'nai Shabbat, Nikabelai, Aidai, lecha dodi likrat kala, Yalalai, 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 B'nai Shabbat, Nikabela. I'll ask you to turn to page 28, but I don't want to start the Baruch Hu yet. I'd love to take a look in the chat and see what people have written. Richard and Beth say we take a day off from campaigning. As great the work is for campaigning, Shabbat needs to come in there. That's awesome. Marge Grayson says, I try for at least a while to focus on Shabbat and not on the world of politics. Very nice. And I see that there are 2 offerings in here from Eric Berlin and from Becky Hirsch about Mazel Tov to the Samuels. And once again, we say Mazel Tov to the Samuels as a community. And the same for the Kaplans. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mazel Tov, to each of you who have come onto the service tonight. We now move to page 28, and we remain standing if you are able to stand, and if you are not capable of standing on your feet, I know that you'll be standing on the inside. Start with our Baruch Hu. Yada-dai-dai-dai, 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 yada-dai-dai-dai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMivorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMivorach Le'olam Va'ed. Yada-dai-dai-dai, 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 yada-dai-dai-dai.
Yada-dai-dai-dai, 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 yada-dai-dai-dai. Please be seated. Turn to page 31. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall we turn our hearts? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or should we cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. Page 32. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amchavta, Torah mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu lemadeta, al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochbeinu u'v'kumeinu, nasiach בְחֻקֶּךָ ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו Yisrael. If it's your practice to close your eyes when we sing Shema, this is the time. If you cover your eyes and that's your practice, this is the time. But if you keep your eyes open, just keep them focused on the whole idea of one God. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. We continue on page 36 with V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem Emet. We move forward in our Siddur on page 39. This is one of those times that I ask Lisa to be the congregation, and as she reads in this responsive reading opposite from me, please join her. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in the dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norah tehilot osefele, norah tehilot osefele. Malechutecha ra'u vanecha, bukei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze Eli anu v'yameru, Ze Eli anu v'yameru. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מהחזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל Yisrael. Turn to page 43. Grant us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch ata Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. We turn in our Siddur to the central piece of our prayer, the tefillah, the standing prayer. And once again, I offer that opportunity for you to know that If you can't stand on your feet, if your computer is too wiggly and jiggly that you need to sit because you have to move it up and down, by all means find a seat, but find that inner core of you that helps you internally stand if you're not standing on your feet. Join together on page 46, and I will start the beginning of it, and then we'll have a silent Amidah that you will go through to page 62, or if those are not the prayers that are in your heart, you can certainly use other prayers. And when you're finished with your prayer, please be seated. Open my eyes to truth, open my hands to give freely. Open my lips to good words, to pure words. Open my heart to love. Open my eyes to truth. Open my hands to give freely. Open my lips to good words, to pure words. Open my heart to love. Adonai sefatay tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Open my lips to good words, to pure words. Open my heart to love. Turn to page 62 as we indeed close this Amidah with Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Oseh Shalom bimramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, ve'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. At this point in our service, it is time for us to offer a Mishaberach for those in need of healing. And this evening, our Mishaberach will be done by Lisa Westreich.
Nishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Nishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Thank you to Lisa Westreich. I think the rabbi did a great thing. He invited others to partake in the service and be a part of that Mishaberach. So if by any chance he hasn't called upon you and you're a singer and would like to do that, by all means reach out, because it's our service. It's not my service to sing. It's not the cantor's service to sing. It's our community to sing. And we indeed are offering these prayers, these Mishaberach, for those in need of healing. So to the part of the service that is actually the Devar. And I wanted to share with you, first of all, a screen share, because, you know, what else can you have other than an awesome screen share to go with this particular Torah portion? And there isn't anything for you to say, but to look at it. You can only see the picture, correct? Good. This week's Torah portion, Bereshit, Genesis 1:1, starts at the beginning as the Eternal creates. First day, light was created. The second day, the sky was created. The third day, dry land, seas, plants, and trees were created. The fourth day, the sun, the moon, and stars were created. The fifth day, creatures that live in the sea and creatures that fly were created. The sixth day, animals that live on the land, and finally humans made in the image of God were created. By day 7, the Eternal finished the work of creation and rested, making the seventh day a special holy day. We learned from Pirkei Avot something may be new to you. 10 things were created on the eve of Shabbat at twilight. These are the mouth of the earth where it swallowed Korach, the mouth of the well of Miriam that provided water for the Israelites in the desert, the mouth of the donkey, Balaam's, the rainbow, the manna, the staff, Moses' staff, the shamir that cut the stones on the altar in the holy temple, and the writing, the inscription, and the tablets of the Ten Commandments. This idea of other things being created might only be jarring as to what the things are, but as well as why do we not hear about these creations in the actual story in Genesis? Let's go back to this concept of twilight. What really is it? Twilight. Bein Hashmashot in Hebrew is a halachic or a Torah legal term for a time period that marks the transition from day to night and from one calendar day to the next. The Zohar, translated as splendor or radiance, the foundational work in the literature of Jewish mystical thought throughout, known as the Kabbalah, states that each and every day was created by God for a specific purpose. Each possesses qualities and potentials uniquely its own. This is why the days of our lives do not simply begin where the previous day leaves off. Rather, there's a gap between them that must be bridged, a transition that must be effected. Hence the special quality and function of twilight, the period that possesses qualities of both days and can thus bridge this gap and facilitate this transition. This is especially true of the transition from Friday to Shabbat, a transition from work to rest, from achievement to repose, from flux to tranquility, a transition between two time periods which differ greatly in their function, nature, and very essence. Our sages tell us that the original week of creation embodies the whole history, which likewise constitutes a week, 6 workday millennia, followed by a 7th sabbatical millennium. Thus, writes Nachmanides, a leading medieval Jewish scholar, the first day of creation, which saw the creation of light, embodies the first millennium of history, the millennium of Adam, whom the Midrash Tanhuma calls the light of the world, when the world was still saturated with knowledge of its creator and was sustained by the indiscriminate benevolence of God. Second day, on which the creator distinguishes between the spiritual and the physical elements of creation, yielded a second millennium of judgment and discrimination. As reflected in the flood which wiped out a corrupt humanity and spared only the righteous, Noah and his family. The third day, on which the land emerged from the sea and sprouted forth greenery and fruit-bearing trees, encapsulates the third millennium, in which Abraham began teaching the truth of one God, and in which the Torah was given on Mount Sinai. The fourth day, on which God created the sun and the moon, the two great luminaries, the greater luminary and the lesser luminary, corresponds to the fourth millennium, in which the first temple and the second temple in Jerusalem served as the divine abode for which light emanated to the entire world. The fifth day of fish, birds, and reptiles unfolded into the lawless and predatory dark ages of the fifth millennial. The sixth day, whose early hours saw the creation of the beasts of the land, followed by the creation of humanity, is our millennium, a millennium marked by strong, forceful empires whose beastly rule will be followed by the emergence of the Messianic era, a time that brings a realization of the divine purpose in creation and ushers in the seventh millennium, the world to come, a time of perfect peace and tranquility. Nachmanides also notes that each 1,000-year day is preceded by a twilight, an overlapping period, which, while technically belonging to the previous millennium, contains the beginnings of the next. Thus, Abraham was born 52 years before the third millennium. King Solomon built the first temple 72 years before the fourth, and so with each millennium. Therein lies the special significance of the twilight following the sixth day of creation, on which God created the 10 things enumerated by the Mishnah. For on the macro historical level, this is the twilight which facilitates the transition from the 6 millennia of history to that Messianic era, a time of wholeness and a time of perfect peace and tranquility. The significance of this time is of primary relevance to our generation. We are now in the year 5781 from creation, which means that we have entered the final quarter of the 6th millennium. We're living in this most crucial juncture of history, the twilight that translates 6,000 years of human toil and achievement into the day that is holy Shabbat and rest for life everlasting. May we think of twilight as that liminal time, a time to take a deep breath, probably more than one, where we actually transition between the busyness of the week and the peaceful time we call Shabbat. Give yourselves a little Bein Hashmashot, a little twilight, a little liminal time, not just on Friday night, but whenever that chaos that I spoke about at the very beginning of the service comes into your lives, take that deep breath. Smell the sweetness that we talk about and bless each week at Havdalah. And remind yourself that Shabbat, that peacefulness, can come for you every single week. Shabbat Shalom. So it's time for announcements, and there are so many announcements. There is so much going on, even though we're not in that place. We're not at the synagogue, but sometimes I think we are all at that synagogue, and we are all together. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., there's a Torah study, and my friend Lisa, who you've seen tonight, Lisa will be leading that Torah study at 9 a.m. At 10 a.m., there's a morning service, and that is a Zoom service. It is not an in-person service. And we also wish the Mazel Tov to Lola Kaplan and Oliver Samuel once again, who will become B'nai Mitzvah during alternative services tomorrow morning. Third thing, 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night, Havdalah service, which for those that have been on can promise me it's this long, but it's a very short service as we move from that time, that liminal time between Shabbat and that rest of the time, another opportunity for a Bein Hashmashot. But it's not just a service. There's also games. And so for those that have been on Havdalah Plus before, get ready for a little bit of games tomorrow night. And as it goes right now, I think we're going to be doing that twice a month. So keep an eye on the Igeret for you to see that. I can also tell you that next Tuesday, October 20th at 7 p.m., if you haven't already signed up, and I can tell you there are 26 people as of this morning signed up for Rosh Chodesh, a 1 hour celebration of that light that we celebrate together at the new moon. And for those that are thinking, a new moon, another month, you should only know that it's Cheshvan. The month is Cheshvan. We call it Mar Cheshvan. More details when you come to Rosh Chodesh, but it's called Mar Cheshvan because it's bitter. It doesn't have any holidays in it. But if you make every day a holy day, then you indeed do have a holiday, whether there's a holiday on the calendar or it's just a great holy day for you. The fifth thing on my list, my friend Norman Pollack is offering his weekly discussion on Thursday, the 22nd at 1 p.m. And he's going to be discussing a ghetto dog. If you don't know that story, he does short stories. There's a great group of people that get together to discuss them. Find his information in the Igeret, click on it and go. Next Friday night is confirmation. Don't miss it. We missed it in the spring because we couldn't do it, but now we are going to do it and it will be virtual. And last but not least that I'd like to tell you about is on Thursday, October 29th at 7:30 p.m. Oren Siegel will be coming on. He's going to be talking about extremism and hate in America. And he is the vice president of the Center on Extremism at the ADL. You don't want to miss that either, but you need to pre-register so we know who's coming. I think that's enough announcements. If I missed anything, you can look in the Igeret, and I'm sure you can find lots and lots of what else you need to do. And as people say, we might not be in the building, but we have a lot of connections in our community. We turn to page 282 for some final prayers as we rise once again, if you are able, for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshid, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo samchokenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, vanachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. We move ahead to page 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Love to each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Please be seated. Please turn to page 294. Our thoughts now turn to those who we love who have passed from life. As is the way of our people, through our recitation of Kaddish, we honor their lives by praising God for letting us walk at their side and they at ours for even our little time. I invite you, if you're so inclined, to individually rise at your seat as I call your name of your loved one. Yahrzeits for this Shabbat: Miriam Abramowitz, Jennifer Amlin, Samuel Berlice, Annette Buckbinder, Judith Cohen, Marvin Davis, Nathan I. Degenshine, James Egan, Samuel L. Gaffin, Edward Gates, Morris Ginsburg, Solomon Goldstein, Saul Grossbein, Benjamin Grossman, Lillian Heimowitz, Paul Kane, Frank Klein, Dina Krames, Rebecca Mosenkis, Leonard Napak, Ruth Neckers, Charles I. Potters, Mikey Salonon, Jacob David Schwartz, Nathan Soberlust, Henry Stein, Michael Tucker, Harold Wanger, Larry Weiss, Gertrude Wolf. For those who are in Shiva and Shloshim periods of mourning: Judy Weston, the wife of Josh Weston, Eve Krebs, grandmother of Jonathan McGolnick. In addition, please rise and also put the name in our chat of anyone for whom you are observing Yahrzeit that may not have been on this list. Finally, if there's anyone here who is in their 1 year period of mourning, to please stand and share the name as well in our chat of those loved ones who are reciting Kaddish. And now, in support of those standing before us and in the memory of the 6 million, I invite the entire congregation to rise, if it is your custom, to join with the mourners in the recitation of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv yimru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lumei maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shmei d'Kudusha v'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yama v'yimru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Please be seated. Our final prayer for this evening will be on page 321. It's not the full Adon Olam, it's the last paragraph of Adon Olam. Into your hands I trust my spirit when I sleep and when I awake, and with my spirit, my body also. Adonai is with me. I shall not fear. Biyado avki ruchi, Ve'eti shan ve'ahira, ve'imruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira, ve'imruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. If I don't see you tomorrow for Shabbat morning services, if I don't see you tomorrow evening for Havdalah and games, if I don't see you until next Friday night at confirmation, have a fabulous week. Shabbat Shalom to all. We will turn off our streaming right now, but I'm going to leave on our recording. We can turn off, but I'm going to leave on our site for a little while so that people can indeed have a conversation, do a little bit of oneg. It's entirely up to you. You can unmute yourselves at this point, and you can say Shabbat Shalom to everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. Nice to see
Thank you,
everyone.
Ronnie. Thank you, Lisa.
Shabbat shalom.
And Lisa. Two Lisas.